Yes, good morning, class 6. How are you guys doing? Hope you're safe, taking care of yourselves, and enjoying your puja season and puja week. And hope you're having fun. So it's great. So, back without wasting too much of time, let's come back to reading our SSC. Page 62, and we are on the North and Deccan, the post Mauryan period. So, we are going to start the North and the Deccan. What happened then? While the Sangam literature was being written in the south, what was happening in the north? Many tribes, especially from Central Asia, had crossed the Hindu Kush and entered into India. These were the Indo Greeks or the Bactrian Greeks, the Shakas or Scythians, and Pahlavas or Parthians, and the Kushanas. The Kushanas. The Kushanas established a powerful empire in North India. They defeated the Indo Greeks and the Pahlavas and the Sakas and established themselves in the region around Taxila, that is Takshila and Peshawar. Later, they occupied Kashmir, Punjab, and parts of present day Rajasthan and Uttar Pradesh. Why do they come about? Scarcity of food, living conditions go bad, then they try to travel and they come and they settle down and they start doing agriculture and then they go to a place, the business starts. So this is why people come over. So these guys, Kushanas, came in and they established around Peshawar in Pakistan, which is now, and then they occupied Kashmir and Punjab, the Kushanas. Kanishka, the greatest Kushana ruler was Kanishka the Great. He became king in 78 CE. He established a vast empire which included parts of Central Asia. Purushapura, modern Peshawar, was the capital of his empire. Mathura was another important city in his empire. Kanishka was deeply influenced by Buddhism. He patronized Buddhist monks and donated money to build monasteries. It was during his reign that a great assembly of Buddhist monks was held in Kashmir. We have Kashmiri Buddhists also. It is generally known as the Fourth Buddhist Council. At this council, scholars met and discussed issues. Many important decisions related to Buddhism were taken at this council. Ashwaghosha, who wrote the Buddha Charita, lived at the court of King Kanishka. Buddha's Charitra, Buddha's character who wrote about it, Ashwaghosha, he used to stay with Kanishka at his court. The Satavahanas. The Satavahanas, also known as Andhras, ruled the Deccan for nearly 300 years. Pratisthana or modern Paithan in Maharashtra was their capital. Some powerful rulers were Sri Satakarni, Vashishthi Putra Pulamayi, Yajnashri, Satakarni, and Gautami Putra Sri Satakarni. The most powerful of them all was Gautami Putra Sri Satakarni, the most powerful of them all. He fought against the other kingdoms and enlarged his empire. The Satavahanas established a powerful empire. Continuous military conflicts, especially against the Sakas, however, gradually weakened them. Eventually, the empire broke up into many smaller kingdoms. Trade. Trade flourished during this period. The Indo-Greeks, Kushanas, and the Satavahanas issued a large number of gold, silver, and copper coins. Ports such as Broch, Kalyan, and Sopara were the main centers of trade with other countries. During the Satavahanas, trade flourished. Indo-Greeks, gold and silver and copper coins, ports such as Broch, Kalyan, and Sopara, all Mumbai, Maharashtra. Sopara, Kalyan, Broch, all in Maharashtra. The development of new crafts also promoted trade. Taxila, Ujjaini, and Mathura became prosperous due to trade because of business. The Silk Route. What is this Silk Route? It is still there. The Silk Route trade brought India into contact with distant lands. The Silk Route was popular among the traders. It was called so because silk was the main traded item. The Chinese were the first to make silk. Chinese traders carried silk to the other parts of the world along this route. Do you know how do we obtain silk nowadays? We'll come to know from silkworms. The Silk Route was the most important trade route. There were several branches of this route. The main branch started from China, ran across Central Asia, and ended in the West Asian provinces of the Roman Empire. It was through this route that India exported pearls, textiles, ivory, silk, and precious stones. In return, India obtained glass, copper, tin, and gold. Barter system. Many rulers tried to control the Silk Route. They protected the traders from attacks by robbers, and in return, the traders gave them a part of their profits. This was a profitable for both. Protection. Still, it goes on. In Mumbai, also protection. The dons give protection to huge builders and all that. Okay, come on. Police is not able to protect you. Nothing is going to happen. We are there. You give some of your money, protection money, and don't worry. No one is going to touch you. Don't have to worry about anything. Everything will be taken care of. These things happen still illegally. What was the religion they followed during that time, during the post-Mauryan Empire? Buddhism and Hinduism were mostly widely followed religions. Buddhism was divided into two sects, Hinayana and Mahayana. Hinayana was the earlier and the simpler form of Buddhism. Mahayana was the new form with many rituals and ceremonies. Menander, the Indo-Greek ruler, and Kanishka were Buddhists. They gifted land to Buddhist monks, wealthy merchants, many of them Buddhists. Also gave liberal donations to Buddhist monasteries. Donations. Nagarjuna Konda and Amravati were famous centers of Buddhist culture. Nagarjuna Konda and Amravati. Most of the Satavahana rulers were Hindus. Kanishka was the Kushanas, they were Buddhists, and the Satavahanas were Hindus. They worshipped Vishnu, Shiva, and goddesses such as Durga. Hinduism by this time had undergone many changes. Rituals, ceremonies, and sacrifices became less important. Their emphasis was now on loving devotion to God or pure bhakti. A pure heart was all that was needed to worship God. The teachings of the Bhagavad Gita also became popular in this period. See, sacrifices, everything was going on. They were only wanting bhakti. Be faithful to God, be a nice person, help others. This was the system. Now everything has changed. So many sacrifices happening. Do this, do that, do that. I don't know from where it has come. Spread Buddhism. Spread of Buddhism. How Buddhism spread. How did it go to places? India's contact with other lands increased greatly during this period owing to the spread of Buddhism. Afghanistan became an important center of Buddhism. The colossal states of the Buddha at Bamia point to the importance of Buddhism in this region. The region of Bactria and Gandhara also came under the Buddhist influence. Buddhism had gone till Afghanistan. The first step in the spread of Buddhism to Central Asia was due to the missionary activities. Due to the missionary activities of Emperor Ashoka. Ashoka had gone so far to Central Asia. He sent missionaries to many places in Central Asia to popularize Buddhism. During the reign of King Kanishka, also many Indian missionaries went to Central Asia. They introduced Mahayana Buddhism in this region. In this new form, Buddha was considered a form of God on earth and his images were worshipped. The worship of Bodhisattvas, Buddhist saints, also became popular. From Central Asia and China, Buddhism spread to Korea and Japan. They are tough Buddhism countries. They still worship Buddha as God. The Silk Route helped greatly in the spread of Buddhism to Central Asia and China. Pilgrims and missionaries from India traveled to China and Central Asia through this route to go and do worship. The famous Buddhist monk Kumarajiva went to China and stayed there for some time to spread Buddhism. Buddhist pilgrims from China also came to India by the Silk Route. The accounts they have written provide valuable evidence of Buddhism. Some of the famous Chinese pilgrims who came to India were Fahim, Winsang, and I Sing. They came to study Buddhism, collect Buddhist texts, and to visit Buddhist monasteries. After this, there was a regular exchange of pilgrims between India and China. Buddhism also spread to the countries of Southeast Asia. Emperor Asoka sent his son Mahendra and daughter Sanghamitra to Sri Lanka to spread Buddhism. Deepa Vamsa and Mahavamsa are the famous Buddhist writings from Sri Lanka. Other countries such as Java, Sumatra, Vietnam, Thailand, Cambodia were influenced by Buddhism. The great stupa of Borobudur in Java was dedicated to the Buddha. The strong Buddhist influence resulted in many changes in these foreign lands. Many people accepted Buddhism as their religion. They adopted Buddhist names, translated Buddhist scriptures into their own native languages, and built a large number of monasteries for monks to live in. Today, Buddhism is practiced in Central and Southeast Asia. Still, it is practiced. We still have it. We have it in Sikkim, we have it in Darjeeling, we have Buddhist monks, we have it in Bhutan, we have so many places. So, history, his story. So, his story is your story. Now, you have to read it as a story and remember and learn. And it's all about learning and, you know, reciting and keeping it inside your head. You have to memorize history. History is all about memorizing. You have to come to know about it. Read it properly, understand point by point, understand, solve the questions. If you are not able to find the Silk Route, I can tell you what is the Silk Route, but you have to find it for yourself as well. Where is the Silk Route? What is the Silk Route? Right. What is the Silk Road route? What was the Silk Road route from connected to China, Europe, and in the Middle East? We have to go on a map. The Silk Road it was called. You know, the path which road they took, Asia Pacific. Okay, connecting East Asia, Southeast Asia, South Asia, Persia, the Arabian Peninsula, East Africa, South Europe. The Silk Route derives its name from the lucrative trade of silk. Simple. So you have to look for it, find it, you will go for it. Okay, you will come to know everything. So that won't be a problem. So see you in the next video.